market sentiment video, we had USDC dominance at around 5% in August, which was what we allocated and what we remembered. But now we're looking at USDC to USDT dominance in the 8% region. This means that we are going into what I call the bear market, which we all know. And my reason being is because when market inflows start coming in and liquidity injections, this is a bear trap. People start getting bullish. YouTubers come out with their retired sentiments, but we all know it's a trap. So, realistically speaking, what everybody should be preparing for is a short bet on the market. You shouldn't be buying in or trying to allocate smart money right now. Prices aren't even as cheap as you can get them. In my opinion, Bitcoin will probably drop down to 50,000. That's a very cheap price for this type of market, especially the fact that we're probably not going to ever see Bitcoin at 20k again, just due to the demand and just due to the overall hype around Bitcoin. Now, obviously, in my opinion, like I said, we're going into a bear market, right? That doesn't mean we're not going to get uptrends. That's exactly what we're going to get. Like I said, they're going to inject liquidity to the point where we're going to think that we're getting ready for the next rally. But as I showed you in the USDC to USDT dominance, this indicates when stablecoin dominance is high in the market, which means that most people have rotated or allocated all their money and capital into stablecoins. When we see stablecoins compared to Bitcoin or Ethereum, which I will show you in a minute, we see a reverse mirroring of the chart patterns, of the confluence. And with this, it shows us where the market is, where the market sentiment is. And again, if we look at the relative strength index of how fast we are going the trajectory of the higher percentile within the stablecoin region, we understand that we are definitely most likely going into a bear run, just like we had here before going into 2022 from the 2021 uprise. 2021, we seen the lowest stablecoin allocation in an actual hype market, so we see levels of 2%. And if you don't understand stablecoin domination, this again is when stablecoins are higher in dominance in comparison to the market overview. So most people hold money in Bitcoin, as we can see the market cap. Most people will hold money in Bitcoin, Ethereum, those cryptos. But when we see people selling their crypto, they sell their crypto to fiat or to stablecoins. Stablecoins are pegged to the dollar, and therefore they don't move in price. That's why people hold stablecoins, right? But we're not here to cater to noobs. This is like very important for people to understand. If you're allocating your money in 2026, you need to be very careful and very wary of how much you are DCAing. If you're going to dollar cost average in 2026 as a new investor, pay close attention. In 2021, when we seen an uprise in USDC, we came back down to these levels at 3%, but we thought we were going to go to 2% or even lower, but that was not possible. These are way too euphoric. These levels are way too euphoric, in my opinion. I don't think we would ever see that again, unless, again, this is back in 2020, 2019, 2017. These levels don't even count. This is when stablecoins are just being made. When we're talking about the stablecoins now, where the market is actually has structure and there's a lot of liquidity being allocated to different tokens, we understand that stablecoins are very important, and these are the same coins that the government looks into and they want to adapt for their CBDCs. So stablecoins are basically everything, and stablecoins are actually very, very useful in our society. So when we're looking at stablecoin dominance, we need to realize how far can this come back down. And if we're going into the 6 to 5% region, we're definitely not going to reach this level again. I set 2 lines for the support level of the 5% line, because if we come down to 4.9%, we're definitely in a very highly anticipated manipulated market. It wouldn't even make sense for us to come down to those levels. Right now, in my opinion, I think we're going to see consolidation until January. January might be a little bit bullish, just like in 2024, at the start of 2025 as well. January is usually New Year's, new me, new money. But in my opinion, like I said, Just like October was very anticipated, a lot of people are anticipating January as well, which should start ringing bells in your head. So that being said, we just need to really focus and dial in on what's going on. So let me just show you guys something real quick. Tether is a stable coin, just like USDC is a stable coin. The reason I put both of them is because they have the most liquidity, right? They are the top two stable coins in the world. So you have to put both of them. You can't just put one because the percentage will be lower. Now people hold the World Liberty coin and all that stupid shit, we know, but it just doesn't mean anything because these are the big boys. Okay, these coins are the big boys. So we're going to exit this chart and we're going to add Bitcoin to this chart as well, right? So BTC, we're going to add Bitcoin to the chart and we're going to see the comparison in Bitcoin to stable coins. As I told you guys already, Bitcoin is a mirror for the stablecoin dominance. So when stablecoin dominance is low, Bitcoin is high. So as you can see, like I said, the dominance of USDC.D and USDC.D plus USDT.D, the dominance is in reverse to how good the market is doing. So when we see the market doing exceptionally well, Bitcoin at 120k all-time high, we see USDC dominance at the all-time low. So as we're increasing in USDC dominance and USDT, we understand what's happening in the market. This is always your indicator, guys. This is your best indicator for the crypto market. If you don't understand, you need to understand how stablecoins work, because again, stablecoins are pegged to the dollar, and that's what people use to sell their crypto. So if you ever sell your crypto, you're going to sell it to USDC or USDT. I advise you heavily to use USDC because USDT has a lot of shady business going on, if I can say that. But that's all I'm going to say. I'll make a whole different video on that. But like I said, it's a mirror, guys. Okay, now I'm going to go back and I'm going to go to this chart again, and I'm going to be telling you guys how to allocate your portfolio this coming 2026, because we know it's going to be a dead market for the next 2 years with all the news with the tariffs, Japan, China, the FED, the new chairman coming in. You need to be up to date with the finances and what's going on in the actual market and geopolitics, because when wars start coming in and the big boys come into play, we're going to be used as exit liquidity. They don't give a toss about your trading and your little technical analysis. They don't care. Markets are going to be manipulated and markets are going to be torched, especially going into a new recession. Now we might get into a bear run for the next 4 years. Who knows how long this bear run will last? In my opinion, I think 3. But if you can hold it out, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. That's why you guys should be focusing on developing and trading in other markets as well. Gold and silver will start uprising. We do know that China and Japan destroyed silver's market share. Price now went down by like 10%, I believe. But look, at the end of the day, those things are going to always happen. If you're holding long term, you're not going to care about a 10% decrease if you've been holding long term or you're planning to hold long term. You just always have to allocate capital at the right time. Timing is everything. I don't stress this enough, and I stress it to my clients every single day. Timing, whether you want to start now, of course, but at least understand. So if I'm telling you start learning crypto today, you wouldn't start buying straight away. You would learn the applications, even if you're in a bull run. A lot of clients this year bought a crypto course of mine and they started going into the market. Some of them were making money, some of them were losing money. But I told them eventually you will lose because you're not ready. And even if you won, you just got lucky. At the end of the day, luck and risk are cousins. If you take risks, you can get lucky. If you lose, oh well. You have to be ready. Crypto is a vigorous game and it's here to sweep people out. Only 5% of people win and only 1% are successful. It's a difference. You just gotta bet against the market consistently to win. You will lose because the market is manipulated. Nobody can predict the market 100% of the time. But we can understand how markets move. When it doesn't go to our thesis, we can't sit and cry. We gotta look at the drawing board and see what's going on. In my opinion, like I said right now, when I do the comparison of USDT dominance, we're gonna get Bitcoin so we can compare this again. As you can see, like I said, Bitcoin is in reverse, perfectly aligned, and very easy to see with the USDC's dominance compared to Bitcoin's dominance, a mirror, meaning every time Bitcoin is in uprise, most of the circulating supply of the money, of the liquidity, of the capital in the crypto market, trillions of dollars, is in Bitcoin. Most people hold Bitcoin. In a few years, altcoins will be dead because most of them don't have a use case or any utility like they say they do. Even if they do, they're not supplying to the masses. Bitcoin isn't even a cryptocurrency you can build on, but it has value because of its store value. Yes, you can send Bitcoin, but it takes time. Yes, it's not the best mechanism in crypto, but it's the original, and it's scarce, and there's demand. That's what's important. With crypto, people need to understand the use case of why they're buying the crypto, and when you're ever buying a crypto, you need to understand why you're investing in such crypto. I like Solana very much. Solana, the reason I like Solana is because it's fast, it's low fees, and it's scalable. You can build on Solana. With my project Safeguard, it's a safety infrastructure built on the Solana ecosystem to protect every transaction and every action on the blockchain. And therefore, the reason I made this is because, of course, Solana is not safe because of how fast and how PvP it is with the meme coin trading and everything like that. If you've dived into the Solana market, you understand what I'm saying. So there is a gap and there is an opportunity for startups to build in Solana. But one product that I've started, and I've started giving testers to the ecosystem, is my project Safeguard. And you can get the link in the description. Safeguard, get access to this now. You will see that Safeguard will be the biggest infrastructure layer for safety, security on Solana ecosystem. The reason being is because of what it can do and how revolutionary its safety procedure is. And there's obviously a lot of technical nuances to it, but I'll explain that in a separate video. But for now, we need to focus on Bitcoin and the market sentiment. Again, with crypto, okay, we've seen Bitcoin rise to around a 128 or 125k all-time high, around there. I don't know the specifics, but this is in percentages. What I'm showing you is very important because, like I said, when we're going into a market, you need to look at history. History does repeat itself, especially with Bitcoin. You can kind of see the market trajectory that Bitcoin is heading. When they say crypto is volatile, what they mean, right? If we compare crypto to gold, okay? If we compare crypto to gold, gold has been moving very steady, okay? And it will continue to do so. That's why they always tell you to invest in gold. Gold, I think an ounce of gold right now is around $4,000+. But gold is a very good investment. But again, it's not going to give you the ROI that you're expecting. Yes, you will get a guaranteed return on your investment, in my opinion, just because of gold's structure and how it's placed in the market. You know, it has depth, it's physical, people trust it, it's been here for years. It has a lot of good properties to it. But with Bitcoin is a future because of blockchain and its infrastructure. So when we were at the Binance debate with CZ and Peter Schiff, we seen two men arguing the same points: value, demand. Gold and Bitcoin have very similar demand outputs, in my opinion, just because of what they both have. They're both revolutionary in a sense, in terms of just in its own bubble. You know, Bitcoin are classified in its own bubble. Same with gold. You know, it's like Michael Jordan and LeBron. You know, you got to just look at it for what it is. People always try to compare the two, but you don't need to compare them. They're two different eras. Literally, that's just how it is, and people just don't want to accept it for what it is. You know, gold, of course, being MJ, Bitcoin being LeBron. If you want to put it the other way, you can put it the other way. It's just eras. You don't get it. The nuances messed up. You know, I think Jordan's better than LeBron. But that being said, understand volatility. Compare this gold price movement of how stable it is. You see, when you see investors, when investors are investing millions into the gold ETFs and they're putting their money into Robinhood and they're buying gold when they don't have to get the physical gold bars, they're putting in millions. So again, it's the same. They think like it's the same concept when you're buying Bitcoin, right? If you're buying gold as an ETF on Robinhood, you're buying the gold bars. You are, but you don't own any of them. You just own the shares of gold that are stored in the lockups, wherever they are, in the reserve. But when you're buying Bitcoin, you don't actually own the Bitcoin, essentially, right? But who's to say you own any gold if you buy from the ETF? Yes, it's saying it there and it is secure, but that's because they're telling you, and it's a trustworthy centralized system. Bitcoin is better as it's decentralized, but we're not getting into that. We're going to just explain what's going to happen in the next 2 minutes. I will tell you what to do in the future. So you can see that Bitcoin is very volatile. If you had bought Bitcoin in 2025, this year, you'd be back to where you flipping started. That's not a good thing, and that's because of the trajectory of how the market moved with the hype. Attention in crypto is very important. The reason why people make money in crypto is not because they're smart, it's because they go where attention flows. Attention flows. If you bought Bitcoin when everybody was sleeping in 2023 or in 2022, or in 2020, when COVID was at its all-time high with all the cases and everybody was scared, that's called smart money. You would have been ahead of the curve, front running the narratives. When we look at crypto now, we're in a market sentiment where people are kind of dying away from crypto. We need crypto to die to the point where we're coming down to the point where people are saying it's a scam again. Because when we come to that point and all the people like Peter Schiff think they're right and CZ and all are liquidating the markets, that is when you want to start DCAing. Right now is not the right time. And the reason being is because Wintermute, Binance, Coinbase, all these market makers are literally playing with the markets. You see me sending in these market sentiments in my Discord. Discord will be in the link. All these market makers are playing with the markets right now. Nobody's winning. The people who are trading are still losing. This is why I say become a developer and allocate money as an investor. You don't need to try and trade at your way out. Unless you're doing Forex or you're doing commodities or whatever you're doing. In crypto, it's a very rigorous game. If we look at the Solana chart as well, right? Solana's at $124, bro. Right? Solana all-time high was around 285 or 280 or 290, right? We never touched base on Solana where we want to hit $300. But again, Solana is where everybody's building on. These DAOs, right? These DAOs that everybody invests into, the market makers and not the market makers, sorry, the developers of these tokens are using the money to make their ecosystem better. That's what people don't understand. So when you see Ethereum consolidating for many years, basically, yes, it's volatile, but when you zoom out all the way, Ethereum hasn't gone anywhere. Ethereum hasn't still hit past 5,000 and ran to 10,000, 20,000 like everybody has said it will. In my opinion, it will, of course. Just like everybody kept saying for years, Bitcoin will not get past 20K. It's going to be stuck there. But again, Bitcoin has a consensus that people don't understand with its supply and demand feature. The halving every 4 years. People always talk about the halving, but they don't even know what it is. 200,000 coins get removed from circulation. That's creating demand. And that's what Bitcoin is. And that's all it ever will be. It's just a storage of value. That's literally it. And you can't build on Bitcoin. People forget that Bitcoin is not something that is revolutionary in the sense of architecture compared to like Ethereum, where you can build on Ethereum. This is why I say these DAOs that people are investing to, they're losing money right now because they're not understanding how the money is actually moving. The money is moving into building and scaling the ecosystem. So for Ethereum, you had layer for the base chain. Base chain became big. Brett on base. I was screaming about Brett. Brett went to like what? 2 cents. 20 cents. When people see these things, they get too overhyped, then people reject the liquidity from the market, and then we get into these scary times, and then people inject the money back into the market, and then we just get these. This is where crypto becomes so volatile and looks like a Ponzi. First in, first out. It's that simple. So you have to understand, when you're buying a crypto coin, understand it's all about hype. It's never to do with its ecosystem, if that makes sense. Like Zcash was hyped. Yes, it moved well, but that's how people can trade, because they understand these concepts. You that you're trying to trade, if you're trading gold, you can understand gold. You'll trade gold and lot sizes on particular days, and if you have a good strategy, you'll make money on gold because it's easier to read, as it's less volatile compared to crypto. Crypto over time, as you can see, this is Solana's chart. Look at Solana compared to Bitcoin in the long run. When you stretch it out and you actually realize what's going on, read the science, guys. Bitcoin is volatile, but it's steadily increasing. So we might get like, this is 2023, right? We're not going to get back to these levels, but we got back to the 2024 levels at around 70k, 80k. That's where we're at right now with Bitcoin. When we see these levels, right, to pay close attention to what is going on. Firstly, Bitcoin, again, when we look at Bitcoin, the market moves how Bitcoin moves. So if Bitcoin starts running, all the altcoins run automatically, just because of the trading pairs and the liquidity that's going to be surrounding Bitcoin. If people are making money in crypto and Bitcoin, like millions, they're going to put 50k into Ethereum, they're going to put 50k into Solana, they're going to put, money gets injected into all these different into all these different coins. That's in a bull run, right? And that's where you see people praying for Bitcoin dominance to drop. Bitcoin dominance, that's what's happening, guys. Money is just, it's the same money moving around. That you need to realize that the reason why meme coins became so big was because of retail. Retail is what makes this market move. Let me explain to you what that is before we wrap up. When when crypto became big in 2021, all the new investors were not investing in meme coins. They were investing in altcoins, right? They were buying Coty. They were buying Polkadot. They were buying the shit that nobody even gave a shit about, and that's dead now, right? So that's where the attention was going. It had nothing to, people weren't even researching their projects. They were just throwing a dart at a bullseye, blindfolded, and praying for a 10x or a 100x. Then they were buying meme coins like Elongate, Stargate, SafeMoon, all these meme coins that originally started from Elon tweets and all that stuff. Those were the original meme coins. I tweeted and I posted a snap back in 2022 after the bull market died off, and I explained that meme coins will be the biggest thing in 2024 or 2025 in the next bull run. People thought I was crazy. Look what happened. The reason I predicted it is because I understood how crypto really runs, and it's retail. When we got the crypto market meme coin rush for DEX plays and stuff like that, everybody started realizing that it has nothing to do with technicalities. And when you realize that, now you have to ask yourself, why am I investing? So then meme coins were better than the utility coins that we all talked about, because they actually gave you the real. There was no utility. It's just about money. So now it became a PvP. It's like a video game. You got to be better than the next person at trading. You got to get in low and sell high. You got to get in before big money starts flowing, because these millionaires will put 50k, 60k into a coin and push the coin. Some people are putting, hundreds of people are coordinating CTOs. So then you got to get in before that happens. So you got to find the narrative. You got to find people tokenizing the next meme, which is way easier than finding a technical play and then praying for the best and then seeing if everybody will just jump on a technical play that they've done fake research on, because they don't even understand the technicalities of that coin. And it's the truth. If you ask me what Polkadot does, I wouldn't tell you, bro. I couldn't tell you, even though I had bought Polkadot back in 2021. BNB was a smart play. Do you know why? Because BNB only started coming up. I bought BNB at $50. I sold at $200, and then I bought back in at $400 and sold at $1,000. That's all in the space of 5 years. We made a lot of money off BNB because BNB is an exchange. Jupiter exchange, Radium. We bought tokens and coins that actually made sense, not ones that just were speculation. Yes, they probably did well, but it wasn't worth it in the end, because you need to realize that it was basically a gamble. When you're buying exchange coins, you're praying that the exchange does well. It's like buying stocks, so it actually makes sense. So you're not just guessing, you actually have conviction, and it's all about conviction. This is why meme coin plays were easy, because if you had conviction on your meme and you ran it and it made sense, you're going to make money. I'll give you an example right now. 2026, I called this out at 80k. The reason I knew this was going to run was because of the fart coin nostalgic kind of, we all know these coins always run, I don't know why. But then the year 2026, bear in mind 2025, when we came into 2025, they made a meme coin called Year of the Snake 2025. Me and my good friend, we missed out on that play. I said this year I'm not missing out on it, and it just was common sense. When I seen this coin made, and once I seen the liquidity and the KOLs behind it, I knew this was the main one. I got it at 80k. It went back down. It went from 80k to 200k to 400k to 600k, came back down all the way to 200k, and I still held. Reason being, conviction. I knew they were going to plan this. 2026 is literally in 2 days from this recording. So you need to realize what conviction actually is. When you see your coin dropping down to 200k, you hold. It hasn't even hit 2026 yet. If it was 2026 now and it was at like 100k, maybe even 40k, then I'll start questioning what the hell's going on. But we're at 1.1 million. And like I said, guys, I give people conviction in the chat. If you want to join the Discord, link in the description. We run these plays. Okay? But that's what conviction is. And this is why people are still making money in meme coins, because they understand where the attention is going to go. If you know where the attention is going to flow, you will always make money. It's the same in real life. If you know AI is going to be big, and you know quantum computers are going to be big, you invest in Palantir, you make money, you're smart. You understand what the future entails. If you're thinking on the spot and you're in the moment 24/7, you're never going to make money. You're going to be dormant. You need to understand attention and validation, because attention gets validated by the consumers. If you know people are going to start buying Labubu dolls, then start producing or start getting somebody who can get you Labubu dolls. This is the basic principle of money. This is why I say crypto going into 2026 will be big, and then it's going to die off. So when it dies off around March, April, because people are going to start saving their money, and they're going to be scared when the market gets dumped once again, obviously, because you need to realize, going back into the main chart, Bitcoin is at a low level right now. We did see the Satoshi whale, I posted in the Discord, buying up the dip. So I can tell they're getting ready for a fake out in January. Once this fake out gets completed to around 90k, maybe trying to touch 100k, we're going to get a serious dump. And I'm talking a very aggressive dump. So I'm waiting for Bitcoin to retrace back to around 90k, 96k, and then a slow downtrend into a rapid downtrend into a consolidation period around mid-February going into March. Then money march will start coming, the narrative will start blowing up again. We're going to get a little increase before another decrease, and then obviously we'll just have a slow year for crypto inevitably, just because of how much manipulation there will be. And most people are going to start doing commodities, moving into AI and sports betting. I think poly market is going to blow up in 2026. I'm not making these predictions as a prophet, I'm just being smart. I know where the attention is flowing. I see all the ads on TV, fights. You gotta be smart. It's just like crypto.com when they did their marketing back in 2022 to 2024 to 2025, and we seen the crazy uprise in 2025 with, I think they did like 200% in a year, 180%. You just gotta be smart, bro. You gotta see these things. Polymarket, if they're gonna make a coin, if they already haven't, it's gonna blow. So you just gotta position yourself and be ready. But yeah, like I said, market sentiment, in my opinion, bullish in January, start of January, going into 2026, mid-January slowing down, February very slow, probably a downtrend, money March, start of March, and then another downtrend, and then we're probably gonna just consolidate for the rest of the year. And then that's where you need to start investing. So summertime, stack your money before summer. Don't spend it on holidays. Start investing now. You're too grown to be going on all these baby trips. Start investing. Start growing your capital. Start being smart with your money. Smart money grows money. Dumb money don't make no money. You understand? That's it, guys.